Hello there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Spring Fever. As always, it is me, XFL Jim. I'm joined by the man himself, Eric, a.k.a. Uncle Rico.
Whoa.
That is you, Eric, calming me down, telling me to step back and assess the situation when it comes to all things UFL. Eric, as for those of you, if you're a first-time viewer, first-time listener, first-time watcher, voice of reason, I would argue, on this show. He's the voice of the everyman. Sports Facts asking, what's this show about? This is Spring Fever. It's about spring football. It's about the UFL. We're talking AF1. In the seasons, we're talking ELF. We're talking it all, baby.
Talking it all, baby.
Today's episode, very special, though. We got UFL training camp stuff, J.M.R. Smith retirement. We're diving in on the UFL new rules for this season. Looking at what the Memphis Showboats are doing, which is really cool. Discussing some drama in the world of arena football with the AF1 Orlando Predators situation. And, of course, giving our takes and ranking the United Football League quarterback rooms. It's going to be a fun episode. And this episode, like every episode, is brought to you by Royal Retros. You want to go to Royal Retros, you want to get some awesome merch. Guess what? They're the official branding sponsor of Arena Football 1. You want all your Arena Football great stuff? They might still be selling Orlando Predators merch. I don't know. But you can cop it there if you want to rep a team that's too cowardly to play in a real league. You can get Albany Firebirds. You can get Salina Liberty. You can even go get the old classic XFL, the Extreme. You can get the XFL Seattle Sea Dragons. You can get the USFL. You can get Canadian Football America. You can get whatever you want at Royal Retros. And when you go, use promo code SPRINGFEVER for 10% off. And then it's like getting a little reach around at the end when you're done banging a chick. It's awesome. It's like a little extra. You go to Royal Retros, you get the pleasure of buying the merch, and then you use promo code SPRINGFEVER. It's like a little finger up your bum. It's awesome.
All right, next. I have no follow for that.
Are you ready, Eric? I sent Eric a list of what we're talking about today. We're starting off with the UFL. We're starting off with the rules. There's a couple changes this year from last year. The biggest one is the kickoff. They're switching it back to the XFL style. Kind of saw this one coming. This was always going to happen. If the NFL this season, if they felt like the kickoff was any sort of successful, they were always going to switch it back.
But now this is just me, and I know you hate it when I say this. You hate it, and if this is going to be a quote-unquote feeder league, shouldn't the kickoff be the same?
It is.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. I get why they switched.
No, I get why they switched too. I understand why they switched, and I liked the XFL style kickoff. I preferred the USFL style that they had last year. I understand it. I disagree that it should be a feeder league. I disagree with that vehemently, but I do think you want to have like a similar style of football. Now, if college starts doing it, I'm out.
Now, the thing to monitor is when we saw this in the NFL was the average starting position was like 7-10 yards further up. How is that? Now that had an effect on the scoring in the NFL because scoring was up this year. And we saw the quote-unquote better teams really take advantage of it. How is that going to transcend here?
Here are the official rules. Kickoffs will now start from the 30-yard line. After last season, they were on the 20. So they're moving the ball up, which is fine. The 10 remaining players on the kickoff team will line up on the receiving team's 40-yard line. All kicking team players were at the 20-yard line, including the kicker last season. The receiving team's setup zone will stretch from its 35-yard line to the 30-yard line. They must have 9 players in that zone. The landing zone will be from the receiving team's 20 to the goal line. So it has to land somewhere between the 20 and the goal line.
Mm-hmm.
Sports Facts actually, you still have the tag on the water bottle.
Probably.
It's not wasteful.
You know what? I do. Cheers.
I like that. So from the 20 to the goal line is the landing zone. If the ball doesn't land in the landing zone, if it's short, it'll be spotted at the 40.
I think what an interesting thing to do is kind of look how the scoring is.
Like after the kickoffs? What do you mean?
We saw scoring was up in the NFL this year.
Yes.
Will scoring be up in this league? We saw a team, like historically speaking, dogs, the shittier teams, have a harder time because they weren't beat. Because you're starting closer to the 50, it's like 20 some odd yards to get a field goal range. Now, is that going to be the case here in this league? Are the teams that are quote unquote like the Stallions? Our team's going to struggle now covering against the Stallions because the Stallions are the best team. They should be able to move the ball more efficiently in scoring range. But that all makes sense.
Maybe, but also like the UFL still has the implemented like comeback mechanics and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's true.
Like being able to go, not having to do an onside kick, being able to go for it for a 4th and 12.
Now, when can you do that any part during the game?
It's if you're down in the 4th quarter is when you can do that. So if you're down 1 point or however many points, you could go for it. You could elect, instead of an onside kick, you could go 4th and 12 from your own.
In the second half. Like, I'll be honest, because like we saw it. That was the thing with the Chiefs. The Chiefs couldn't go for an onside kick to the 4th quarter.
Correct.
And why can't I feel if you're down in the second half and you're playing catch up?
You could do it. Well, so they just got rid of onside kicks in general. So the official rule.
Do it into the 4th quarter.
The official rule reads is the league's eliminated the onside kick option. The kickoff team will be able to retain possession of the ball with a 4th down and 12-yard scrimmage from its own 28-yard line. It doesn't say anything about it having to be down in the 4th quarter like it was in the XFL a couple years ago, so maybe not.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, I mean, I like that then.
And then the other big change is they made a change to the Super Challenge. You remember last year you could challenge whatever. Shout out Wade Phillips. He was like the king of coaches challenges. So what they did this year is if your challenge is successful, you get another one.
Oh, nice.
Yep. And the head coach can challenge any officiating decision as long as they have a timeout remaining.
Okay.
They can challenge anything. It don't matter.
All right.
Those are the big changes. Obviously, the thing that they're keeping that people were speculating on, there's no PAT. You can either go for a 1, 2-point, or 3-point conversion. There's no kicking after a touchdown still, which I am a huge fan of. That's one of my favorite parts about this league. I don't want it to change.
You don't like kickers, Jim.
No, I love kickers, but I like PATs still to me feel automatic. Like I don't know, like kicking field goals is great, but I don't like kicking after a touchdown. I like the decision making. And if they did like the USFL did a few years ago where they had the kicking option and then the 2-point and 3-point conversions, every coach is just going to do the safe option. And I like that the UFL is sort of taking it out of their hands and making them get a little fun and creative with it.
Okay. I got you.
Other news that we didn't cover, I didn't put this in the notes, Eric, but it's basically soft confirmed that the championship game is going to be in St. Louis again. Do you have any takes on that?
Biggest market. No, not at all.
I understand it I see both sides of the argument because obviously people have been arguing both ways. Birmingham potentially deserves it for being a team that's like, this team has won the league. They're like the best team in the league. Should they get one? I think 2 things. I think they want to put it in a market they obviously they're never going to say it, but they want St. Louis to be in the championship game because they want it to be sold out.
Yes, obviously.
But I think they do want a dome because if you remember, not last year, But the USFL in 2023, there was a few games, like Birmingham specifically, but there was a few games where there was a lot of lightning delays.
Oh, that's a good
And
point.
they definitely don't want that on the championship game.
Yeah.
So your options, if you narrow it down to just domes, your options are St. Louis, San Antonio, and Michigan.
Yeah.
So Michigan, maybe I could see it depending on how they look this year. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for some things, but tough draw last year.
The one thing with Michigan is it's so big. It's always going to look that there's no one there, even if there are people there. With St. Louis, I mean, even when St. Louis plays, it's full, so there is the off chance St. Louis can get there. My thing is if Michigan even gets there, it's not going to look full on TV, which is going to be a bad optic for your championship game.
And then San Antonio, which had good viewership and attendance for the XFL championship in 2023, there's probably a scheduling conflict. They had such time, like a tough time scheduling it. San Antonio's missing out on a home game this year because of it, because of I think a Lady Gaga concert. So it's St. Louis is the safe option.
We know
I get it.
Fan. We know you like Lady Gaga.
They do need to get to a point, I think, where it does feel like St. Louis as a market gets preferential treatment.
Oh, 100%.
Which I do wish they kind of passed the love around, so to speak. Like the other option that was being considered, that was like next on the list, was DC, and I think DC would have been very fun.
But I think the comment you made about the weather, you kind of
they want a dome.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, just because they can't have weather delays.
Because like if you have a weather delay, guess what? Fox or ABC, they're gonna just boot you off the network. They don't care.
You'll get.
They're not going to be like the NFL. They're not going to wait around. Yeah, you'll be pushed on to FX or Fox Sports 1.
Fox Sports 2.
Yeah, like that would be a legitimate worry on your biggest game of the season.
Yeah, so I mean you hit the nail on the head, like right there with that comment. Like they want a dome, they want to protect it for the weather aspect.
And then secretly they really want St. Louis to make it because
obviously, dude. I mean,
I didn't see how it looked on TV last year. From what I heard, it didn't seem like there was a ton of people in the stadium when I went.
That is a correct statement.
Yeah, there was probably like maybe 15,000 people there.
That's still a lot of people, dude.
Which in that stadium looks pretty tiny. Like it's still one of the bigger stadiums. I'll also say shout out St. Louis. I'm gonna get rid of my background real quick because it's making my computer slow. I will say this to St. Louis. They redid the turf so that at least that looks better.
Okay. That's good.
They got new turf. Other news, Eric. Training camp is here. The social media is a buzz. Everyone in the community has been wanting this. We're getting like good content from the UFL accounts. I'm happy for that. It's a step in the right direction. The big thing though, they still need to get marketing in markets. And I saw some people. I was listening to the UFL podcast with my boy, the ref, and Zach, and what they talked about, and what I've seen people in the community discuss and bring up. There's not really a huge incentive to get season tickets.
So, like, case in point, I'm just throwing this number out there. Let's say it. Normal ticket is $50. There's no
high, yeah.
I'm just using this as an arbitrage number. So let's say, how many home games are there? 4?
Yeah, 4 or 5. Yep.
So let's say there's 5. So
there's 5.
I can either. There's no thing where it's if I do want to buy all 5, and it's normally a $50 ticket, I can't get it for like $200.
So what they basically did last year. So say it's $50 a game. You buy your season ticket, it turns into like $40 a game. But what happened last year for a lot of markets that weren't St. Louis because they had so few people like going, they were doing special sales and discounts for single game tickets. So you would get your single game ticket for cheaper than the season ticket holders.
But unfortunately, like as someone that has had tickets to the Milwaukee Bucks. I used to have season tickets to the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are times, that's just the way it is, though. Like, there's times, like, when they played the Bulls or they played, like, I had it back when LeBron was on the Heat or, that when they played a marquee game, you'd always get that bump. But usually speaking, like if it's just Joe Smo team, it's going to be for less because they want to sell the ticket.
True, but also to get like the fans in the stands, I would think that the UFL would want to offer like packages or other deals with the season tickets. I don't even know if they need to make the tickets cheaper, but I think to give the fans something.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Like,
because at this point, in this stage, year 2, you're still trying to like the Bucks. They're an established NBA team. People want to go see that brand. It's the NBA. This is the UFL, the Birmingham Stallions, the Memphis Showboats. They need to draw people in. They need people to know what they are. And I think one of the positives and things that spring football can like hang its hat on is it's a much cheaper experience to go to a spring football game than almost any other sporting event. You can take the family, you can go there, you can, maybe if you're a season ticket holder, you get discounts on concessions.
Yeah.
I'm spitballing here. Maybe you get like a t-shirt for opening day. I don't know. There's stuff you could do to bring people in.
They did.
And these are like the spring ticket holders are that's your big, those are the guys you want to like cater to and you want them to be happy.
There was a Major League Baseball team I'm spacing on that did that with their season ticket holders, where if you were a season ticket holder, your price for concessions was less than if you just were Joe Smo walked in off the streets.
This is just I don't even have a marketing degree. I'm just giving these away for free here.
You're just fucking spitballing, dude.
Next thing on the list, Eric, I don't know if I asked you this on last week's show or the 2 weeks ago. What do you think is Arlington as the hub? They like Arlington for sure not going anywhere. They have the thing there. They don't give a fuck. That stadium is for sure not going anywhere. No matter how few people Arlington would ever draw. I think Arlington will do decent. The city seems to love them. What do you think is Arlington as the hub?
Let me ask you this. This is my question to you. What is the housing situation there?
I think the league's paying for housing.
So is it like, are they in like a dorm room? Like what is, I
think it's I would need to ask them. I think what a lot of these leagues do is it's sort of like an apartment setup. Like they buy like a block, like a sort of set of apartments.
Now, does everyone have their own apartment?
That I don't know for sure. I would think maybe, but I do not know. That's a lot of players.
So like probably like a roommate then.
I would assume so for the season.
I mean, like, I think it's a good idea. Like, so I look at it like this: like, everyone's there together. It's keeping the cost down. I think for that, it's good because you have to remember there are no ownerships.
Not yet, no.
The league owns this, and the league needs to look to kind of, and I hate to say this term, cut corners when they can. And a way to cut corners is having everyone in one location. You can probably get a discounted rate for the amount of rooms. I don't know how the food situation, like, is it, you know what I mean? Is this like a catered situation where like, okay, dinner is at 5?
I think it's sort of like a college situation where they have the meals and everything catered for you at the facility. Cause it's like, they have a huge training facility. They have like a big office. They have everything there.
So then everything's kind of, I think that's the way to go. I think that's great for the players. I think it makes it easier for the players. Easier for teams to kind of work together, players to work out and kind of like also like keep an eye on players, if you will. You know what I mean? Like not have to worry about players being out late after, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think it's a good idea. I think it works, and it worked last year. We didn't really see anyone get in any off the field trouble. And I also think it's easier for these teams to build kind of like a culture.
I agree with that. I do think this does put more pressure on the individual marketing teams for each market that are the people that are there in Detroit, in Memphis. It puts more on them because you don't have the players to be able like, oh, you could come meet the players or you could do this. You have to like kind of sell that.
And I mean, maybe that's something I don't know, like when do they get in? You know what I mean?
The players are in training camp right now. No. Oh, like when do they get in? Like for that week?
When do the Panthers get into Detroit?
If the Panthers have a home game, when do they all fly in?
If they play Friday, do they come in Thursday? Come in Wednesday? You know what I mean?
That's a good question.
Like when do they come in? Because like if it's a thing, maybe it's a thing where hypothetically, let's say they play Friday, they would usually come in Thursday. Do you have them come in Wednesday so that way Thursday they have to make a team appearance somewhere? Do you have
I like that. I like that. It's something to keep an eye on. I do think Arlington has embraced spring football and embraced this league a lot, very heavily. I'm pretty sure Arlington may have given them like a nice deal on the office building because Arlington wants them there. That's why they're no longer the Dallas Renegades. They're like Arlington's team, and they're Arlington's league.
They got to play in that stadium the Rangers used to play in.
Is that where they're playing?
I believe so.
I think you might be right. Other news: J.M.R. Smith retires from football. The Stallions legend. Rip. Rest in peace, my friend from football. I just remember 2022. He was so fun. He was so fun to watch. Alex Magoo gets injured like first game. J.M.R. Smith leads the team to a championship game where I was rooting for the Stars, but still.
Look, he came in, he did well. Look, dude, like I don't mean to be mean. He's getting close to 30. Mm-hmm. And you kind of have to, the sport does take a toll on your life. Is it really worth for him being the third string guy on the Stallions? You know what I mean? Like,
I think someone like him, it makes more sense to maybe go into a coaching role.
Yeah.
He has like experience. He has some wisdom behind him. I could see him going into a coaching
role. And who knows? Like, I don't know his family situation.
Who knows? It could be a plenty of reasons why you would want to.
Like, does he have a wife like who's like due soon? You know what I mean? Like, he wants to spend time with the kids. You just don't know. And props to him though. He had a good run, and he won a championship. There's a handful of people.
Technically, he's won 3.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
A handful of people that can say they did that. So
the other thing that we had, the other big move that we didn't mention because I wanted to talk about last week is Chris Odom, no longer with the Roughnecks, no longer in Houston. He's with Dallas. He's with the Renegades.
I mean, that's huge. You have an all UFL player who's a pass rusher. To me, this makes Houston interesting as hell. They're hosting St. Louis week 1, who's breaking in a new starting quarterback and a new offensive coordinator who's never, ever called plays at a professional level. The last time he did it was at a prep school for high school, and that was like 20 years ago. Now you're telling me that one of the best pass rushers is going to be going up against there? I think there's all the value in the world just based on that move alone for Houston, and I'm definitely going to be looking to bet Houston plus the points in the money line.
No. Chris Odom leaves Houston, goes to Arlington.
Oh, that's what I meant. Because they play Arlington. Yeah. My bad, dude. My bad. I got the teams mixed up.
Yeah, the Brahmas. The Brahmas are opening up in Arlington.
Yeah, so I meant the Arlington. Sorry, dude. My bad, dude. My bad, brother.
Yeah, the Renegades, baby. Renegade. I'm excited for the Renegades. Other bit right here. The Showboats announced today. The Showboats front office, they're doing a community reach out. These are all the events that they will be participating and be in attendance at. So March 1st, they did the Alpha Omega Veterans Masquerade Ball. March 7th, coming up this week, they're at 2 places. They're at the Germantown Chamber of Commerce, and they're at the University of Memphis men's basketball game versus USF this week. March 8th, they're at the Germantown Half Marathon. 15th, they're at Silky O'Sullivan's St. Patrick's Day Parade. 17th, Cooper Young's St. Patrick's Day Parade. The 18th is a virtual UFL rules presentation with the VP of Officiating, Dean fucking Blandino, friend of the show. We could call it. He was technically on the show, right? Technically, we'll call him friend of the show.
Technically on the show.
March 20th, March Madness Watch Party on the 20th and 21st. 22nd, Junior Achievement Spring Bowl-a-thon. 26th, Germantown Chamber of Commerce Business After Hours. 29th, Showboats Fan Fest kickoff celebrations at Ghost River Brewing. And March 30th, the Showboats home opener versus the Panthers at the Liberty Bowl. What do we think? What do we think?
I think that's great. I mean, get some giveaways going on. You know what I mean? Maybe even give away some free tickets, get people in the building, get some T-shirts going. T-shirts are so fucking cheap. Mm-hmm. You can throw T-shirts out there. Coupons, you know what I mean? Like, come here. Like, what?
I feel like this, Eric, is something that you pressed upon these leagues and teams a ton, is to very much get heavily involved with like local spots, local eateries, local bars, like get involved with the
going to
scene.
a St. Patrick's Day parade is the easiest effing thing to do in the world. You know what I mean? That just all the sense of the world. Prompts to them. Every other team should be doing the same thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, what can other teams do potentially to reach out?
In
Like
these cities, there's
in this?
so many little festivals. You know what I mean? We're getting to that time. There's so many little gatherings, festivals, March Madness, St. Patrick's Day parades, stuff like that. You should just be hammering that in.
I couldn't agree more. This is something I love to see. I think they're really trying to push Memphis this year. They're trying to get a lot out of there. And I want to see things from other teams. I want to see a lot of like lists like this from other teams in the league.
Yeah. Yep. Every team should be doing it.
Agree. Last bit of news on the UFL. I don't know if Eric saw it, but there was a quarterback strike a little bit. So
I didn't understand this. Like, explain to me what's going on.
Pre-training camp, like last Thursday. Training camp started this Monday. So pre-training camp, like Thursday or something, the quarterbacks of the UFL were supposed to like come in, do some extra training or whatever. All 20-some whatever quarterbacks declined to come. They struck out due to their perceived lack of a substantial enough pay for the quarterbacks. People kind of like reported on it. I think people blew it out of proportion. They were never not going to play. The UFL and the Players Union are discussing things. I don't know how much more money the quarterbacks can realistically get out of a league that's in year 2.
And I think, is it kind of bleeding money?
I mean, it's losing money. I don't know if it's bleeding money, but it is losing money.
I just feel that you got to kind of be selective. There's a time to strike and a time not to strike. I don't think this is going to be.
I don't think this was ever really a strike. Like, they showed up to day 1 on training camp anyway.
Okay.
Like, they still showed up Monday. This was like a sort of like a get the news out and get the word out that they want more money, which fair. They are probably not getting paid what they feel like they deserve. But I feel like as long as the UFL shows, this is to your point again, if they show that they can give people an opportunity to play in the NFL, they will get players. And the money will eventually come for the players.
I believe you're right with that. I think, though, that there needs to be realistic. Like, how much, like, what's the average salary?
The average salary in the UFL, I believe, is similar to what it was in like the XFL a few years ago. It's around like $55,000 to $65,000.
Which is great. I mean, like, they should.
Plus, I do think the Players Union and whatever they should be talking about, there should be more incentives built into their contract because I think there's a win incentive still.
Okay.
But it could be you announce like an offensive and defensive player of the week. Maybe they get a bonus that week. Okay, maybe like stuff like that. I'm so just again like spitballing here.
The UFC model. The UFC, like, players get played on performances. They get have a show, have a win, and then if they have like a fight of the night or something.
Yeah, stuff like that I think would go a long way. Yeah. Maybe MVP gets another boost, but obviously quarterbacks make the world go round. It's similar with the UFL, but I don't know. Like Pat McAfee talked about it, and it dropped my opinion from old Patty Mac down from like the floor to the sub basement.
I don't even know who that is.
He could, one of his goons conflated the Toronto Argonauts as a UFL team. That shows you how much they know.
So what was little Patrick's thing?
They just were talking about the strike and being like, it's a bullshit. Like one of his guys called it a bullshit league, which is kind of hilarious to me, basing that they're on ESPN and ESPN owns a part of the league.
Mm-hmm. McAfee's a clown, dude. He's just a clown. I don't understand why anyone would watch him in the first place. But that's just me.
Now, Eric, we move on from our UFL talk to the arena football one, a league that you know even less about, but the season starts this week. And I
Thanks, Jim.
so I mean, you're a busy man. You cover basketball, NFL, horse racing, NASCAR. You have your fingers in a lot of different pies.
Are we going to do the rankings of the quarterbacks?
Not for the AF1. That'll be for the UFL coming up. But this is the AF1. We're going to end with the ranking of quarterbacks. People stick around. But there was some drama. So my original plan this week was to go down to Dodge City, Kansas, and watch a game between the Southwest Kansas Storm and the Orlando Predators.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? The Orlando Predators ceased operations this week. Literally,
what was the
yesterday? So we were informed. Actually, it was today. We were informed today that the Orlando Predators, and this is a quote from the AF1 last night. We were informed today that the Orlando Predators intend to break their commitments to their fans, players, and coaches. Predators owner John Chaney informed us that he has decided to no longer compete in this season in Arena Football 1. Given the abrupt notice, their membership in AF1 has been terminated, effective immediately. This about-face and betrayal of fans in Orlando and fans of arena football is shocking and unexpected. The Predators have long been one of the best-known brands in arena football, and the fans of Central Florida deserve better than being betrayed for self-serving reasons.
So it says self-serving reasons.
So here's
what could that be?
The what I have heard, the Orlando Predators owners and whatnot, they filed something today and put out another press release. Here's what they said. After an extensive evaluation of the Arena Football 1 structure and an exhaustive review of all financial avenues with potential partners, the Orlando Predators ownership made the league aware of the purchase offer presented to them yesterday. And after discussions were made, the difficult yet necessary decision to discontinue participation in AF1. But we're under the impression we would release a joint press release that was done by other teams that had not committed to continue with the 25 season, whatever. They say that the league's financial model is not fundamentally flawed. It is inequitable. It is favoring 3 teams whose ownership also controls the league itself. But also, the Predators were one of the teams that voted on this ownership workout. Very weird. So from what I have gathered, the Orlando Predators wanted to sell their team on the condition that they did not play this year.
Why would they want to sell their team on the condition they didn't play?
I don't know. I still don't know. My assumption, so the Orlando Predators ownership made a lot of mistakes where they wanted their own streaming service for their team. They wanted a brand new, they wanted the most expensive venue. They wanted a lot of things, and they were kind of sinking money into this and probably wanted to dump it at this point. To me, it's a little bush league to get rid of the team literally 3 days before you're supposed to play your first game.
That is. I agree with that 105%.
I don't know. We saw, if you remember last year, Arena Football was dropping teams left and right. I don't think this is a similar situation to that. Many teams came out and put out a statement today how they're committed to the league and to the fans and everything like that. AF1 is actually coming after Orlando too for money. What
is the financial structure?
Eric, couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'm not well educated on the topic. There's a lot that I follow. The financial structure of some leagues are not there for me. But they pivoted. The league pivoted, so now it is...
You know what'd be funny, dude? Did you ever watch Friends?
Yeah, I've seen Friends.
You know the thing where Ross is taking the the sofa up the stairs, and he just yells "pivot."
They do that.
Pivot.
So they did pivot. Now it will be the Nashville Cats, who were scheduled to play this coming Monday against Corpus Christi. The Nashville Cats will now be playing in Dodge City against the Southwest Kansas Storm this Saturday. But to my dismay, it was already after I had canceled my hotel and everything.
Oh, well.
Because I thought the game wasn't going to happen, so I canceled my hotel before I had to, before there was any, late fees or termination fees or anything. I got out of there. This does not want to work. Okay, let me see if I can get this to work. There we go. So the other thing for the Arena Football 1, Eric, that I wanted to discuss was their partnership. They have a new partnership. AF1 is partnered with Better Edge to let fans, like, you could set lines, you could do your... I don't know if you've ever used Better Edge, Eric.
Never heard of them.
So it's a product that it's like a peer-to-peer gambling system where, say, for instance, you and I had a game that we wanted to bet.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, I want to bet this game. I'm going to set the line at this for you. I'm going to create this. And it's like a friendly thing between you, or you can make a contest.
Okay.
So what they're doing is they're partnering with them so you can access Arena Football 1 on Better Edge and do these contests with friends. But they're also doing special weekly events where it's like a line contest. So let me share my screen with you real quick. This is from the league. And you can make bets on AF1, on Better Edge.
Perfect.
So I got the Nashville Cats at the Southwest Kansas Storm. Southwest Kansas is 9.5-point favorites. But you see, it's even odds. Plus 100 there.
Interesting. I like that, dude.
So it's a very fun deal. I'm excited for it. This game got canceled, but then there's other things going on. It's something to keep an eye on. I like them. I like that they're partnering with it. The AF1 they're trying to do a lot. They're trying to go forward and be innovative, which I think is a big move for these arena leagues.
I think betting is going to help draw people in there, and this is something you can use to help draw people. All the power to you.
Also, shout out Corpus Christi for agreeing to have their home opener move back a week.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I do think that this
they're probably getting a little money on their table, but
probably I do think this is not what we saw last year from AF1, where there was teams falling left and right, and also bad venues and stuff like that. I think a lot of the teams are committed and strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Other league news, we're just going to breeze through these. The National Arena League, it was very funny. The Omaha Beef, the reigning champions, they lost to a literal semi-pro team.
Okay.
In Omaha. So they faced, it was like the Minnesota, not Wild, but I think Monsters or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Minnesota Monsters is basically going to fold in a week or two. So shout out to Omaha Beef. Their coaches did a press conference afterward being like, these guys were fed our plays by the other teams in the league. And so blah, blah, blah. It was very funny. Very funny. IFL, just get ready. 3/21/25. Eric can bet on the IFL. I cannot.
Can I be your bookie for it?
You can be my bookie. If you can pull up the lines every week, we can get some lines going here. We'll have to look into it in around mid to late March and see if we can get some stuff going. And then X League, we're pausing and talking about the X League at all really, because they're not starting their spring tournament stuff until May 3rd. So that's on the way down the line. And then there's no ELF news. Now, Eric, the meat of the show. We are ranking the quarterback rooms of the UFL. So we're not ranking them against each other. I just want you to give a grade A, B, C, D, F.
Well, shit, Jim. I fucking went through everyone.
Okay. No. If you did that way, if you did it that way, Eric, then what's your bottom team?
Houston.
So the Houston Roughnecks have Nolan Henderson, Anthony Brown, and Jalen McClendon. I'm thinking it's probably Henderson to start. I don't know. This is one of the 3 quarterback rooms where I really don't know the starter.
Mm-hmm.
I would also agree it's probably the weakest room. I do think there is potential in guys like Henderson and McClendon. Anthony Brown, don't sleep on him. But I would say out of what we've seen, this is easily, in my opinion, the weakest room.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Who'd you have at number 7?
This is where it's going to get dicey. St. Louis.
Okay, so St. Louis, they have Max Duggan, Siobhan Cordero, and Manny Wilkins. You could also argue what they lost is huge. AJ McCarron.
Huge step down.
It is potentially, but I will say this. AJ McCarron, I think, gave them a very high floor. I don't think he raised their ceiling that much.
Okay.
They were very not clutch, and I do think there was something where the offensive line wasn't protecting him, and you need a guy that has a quick release and maybe can make some things happen.
Mm-hmm.
So people are kind of saying it's probably going to be Max Duggan. Erman Jobs chiming in. Battlehawks second best odds for title despite QB play. Yeah, it is crazy. We don't know anything about these guys. So Eric, who would you go between Duggan and Cordero, who I think are like the two main guys?
Cordero, because I think Duggan's awful.
You think awful?
Awful.
Like, I think awful is a strong word.
You know what, dude? I just think he's awful.
Made it to a national championship.
Biggest fluke in college football history.
Maybe he just has that it factor, dude.
Yeah.
I also like Siobhan Cordero quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I do think I think the capability is big because I think if one of these guys does get it and they're a good quarterback, I do think St. Louis probably has the best weapons of any team.
Mm-hmm.
So could potentially be massive. Who's your number 6?
Who? Number 6, Memphis.
Memphis. So you have E.J. Perry, Quentin Dormady, and Troy Williams. I presume it's going to be E.J. Perry as the starter.
Mm-hmm.
Quentin Dormady is the backup, probably.
Yep.
The potential's there. E.J. Perry showed a lot last year at Michigan. I like his play. Mm-hmm. Quentin Dormady last year, not great, but in 2023, for the latter half of the season, really good. Yeah, I'd probably say this is about right. Top of the bottom half.
Okay.
I don't disagree with you there. Who do you have at number 5? Right there, smack dab in the middle.
DC.
So DC, you got Jordan Ta'amu, Mike DeLillo, and Spencer Sanders. It's going to be Ta'amu, obviously. Middle of the pack is about right. Is where I would probably put this team. Jordan Ta'amu. It all depends. Does DC have a good run game? Because if the defenders have a good run game, Ta'amu is a top 3 quarterback in this league. If they don't, he's a bottom half.
Yep.
We've seen it in the XFL, USFL, and UFL. When he has a good run game, he is a legit, really good quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, no.
Yep.
No. Lemon V. Cuts. Looking forward to the second season of the UFL. Matt Corral, Deion Kane return to Birmingham. Hell yes, brother. Eric, who's your number 4, starting in the top half?
San Antonio.
San Antonio Brahmas, Jarrett Garantano, Kellen Mond, and Kevin Hogan. I only have to assume it's Kellen Mond, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be. I like Garantano's whatever.
I like
Garantano, but I think Kellen Mond's a legit quarterback. I like what they got here.
Yeah.
Who's your number 3?
Michigan.
Rocky Lombardi, Bryce Perkins, Danny Etling. So you got to assume with how he looked last year before he got injured, it's Bryce Perkins.
Correct.
It's got to be Bryce Perkins. He looked dynamic. He looked electric. I like what he has. The question is, who do you think's the number 2?
Rocky. No, Rocky can't throw.
Yeah, it's the thing. I think Rocky. So I love the setup where it's Bryce Perkins 1, Danny Etling 2. Different play styles for sure. But I love Rocky Lombardi as a 3 guy to kind of help out. He's got a good quarterback mind. He can help out in that way, but he doesn't have the arm. He just doesn't.
No arm whatsoever.
I also just like saying Rocky. Rocky Lombardi's fun. Who's your number 2?
Arlington.
God, Arlington all the way at number 2. Luis Perez, Holton Ahlers, and Luke Lennon.
Just respect for Louis, dude.
Luis Perez, one of my goats. I love this man. Step it up this year. He has the weapons. And honestly, if he doesn't look good, I've been doing my Arlington breakdown. I think Holton Ahlers can be pretty darn good.
He was good at ECU, dude.
He was really good at ECU.
I liked him a lot at ECU.
You want to know my thoughts? What I think is Perez kind of takes them this year as far as they'll go, and then he hands the reins over. I think this is Perez's last year probably, and then Ahlers is there, ready to take over when he's done.
Mm-hmm.
I like Holton Ahlers a lot. And then number 1 is the Birmingham Stallions.
Obviously.
Alex Magoo, Matt Corral, and then according to James Larson, rumored Case Cookus is the 3 after Jamar stepped down.
Case Cookus.
It's kind of crazy that the Birmingham Stallions, like all three of their guys, I would put as like number ones if they were on other teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like Alex Magoo could start on any team. Matt Corral could start. I would put Matt Corral over almost any quarterback in this league. I put Case Cookus over almost like maybe there's like two quarterbacks I wouldn't put Case Cookus over.
Oh, I think you're just being a fucking homer with that. Dude.
I don't know, man. Maybe I'm still living in 2022. Like 23 was rough. Last year was rough, but he's never had a good offensive line.
I think you're just living in 2022, man.
I think Case Cookus could start on over half the teams in this league.
You're bold, Jimmy. You're bold.
I would take Case Cookus. I'm going to go through the teams right now. I would take Case over Jordan Ta'amu.
Obviously.
I would take him over any of Houston's quarterbacks. I would take him over almost any of Memphis's quarterbacks.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, dude. Would you take him over Perez?
No.
Perkins?
See, that's the other one. No, that's tough. But any other quarterback, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, like 4 teams.
Yeah, like over half the league. I take him on like 5 teams. I think this is a huge, great room. You have the 2023 MVP. You have Matt Corral, who looked great for stints of last year.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great quarterback room.
Yeah.
So number 1 head coach, number 1 quarterback room. What position group do you think will be next for the Birmingham Stallions to get number 1 in?
Defense.
Yeah, probably. Maybe this is just because recency bias. They're the team that I'm going in alphabetical order for all my team breakdowns. I've been doing notes on them.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like what the Renegades are cooking up on defense, especially the front.
Lemon V. Cuck's question in the chat. Is Case Cook is still technically with the Showboats? How would that work?
No, he got released fully.
Okay.
Because he retired or whatever. Remember he was coaching somewhere last year?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's full of done, come back.
Okay.
It's a damn shame. Any other takes that you want to fire off, Eric, about either the UFL, AF1, anything?
Player props, sports betting.
It'll be coming. Like we had player props last year.
Yeah, only on ESPN though.
I hope we get more. That's not up to the league though. That's up to the sports books.
Yeah, that's true. True that.
As long as we get it somewhere, like you have access to ESPN Bet, at least you have access to player props.
Yep.
And I think they're partnered with Underdog for the props in that. I know. But we're gonna have to do something. We're gonna do something for the UFL, baby. It'll be the season will be here before you know it. We're under a month until UFL football starts. Literally 3 weeks from Friday. I'm tingling just thinking about it.
When's the first one again?
March 28th, baby.
Jim, I'm gonna be away that weekend, dude. Are you gonna be able to handle it?
Eric, I think I'm gonna be able to definitely handle it. Remember the long streams. It's gonna be something.
Dude, I'm game for those, dude. If you're gonna have me back, man.
Oh, definitely. Also, shout out. I hate the Lakers. Nice call on college basketball bets today, Eric.
Dude, I've only hit one, dude. I'm still grinding out. Has Oklahoma finished?
I don't know.
Joey Bosa just got released. Is Joey Bosa gonna be coming?
Oh, that'd be sick. Joey Bosa, get him to the boats.
Bosa to the boats?
I'd love that.
Bosa's boats?
I want to say thank you to Uncle Rico. I want to say thank you to you watching. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a follow wherever you're watching. It helps. Got the links for everything down below. Give Raw Retros a go. Get some great merch. 10% off if you use promo code SPRINGFEVER. All one word, all caps. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We love you. And we will see you next time for another episode of Spring Fever. Bye-bye, everyone.